So when I left secondary school a few years ago, I had a choice. Should I shut up and say nothing and get a big government job in Dublin as a civil servant and get hundreds of thousands of euro for doing fucking nothing? Or should I speak my mind and speak freely and not be afraid to speak and to stand up for what I believe my values? And I chose the latter, and don't regret it for 1 second. And that's as simple as that. And that's to be totally honest, because you're truthful to yourself. You're being honest with yourself. You don't hide it. And I see so many young people, particularly, they're afraid to speak out about different issues inside. They're afraid because they're afraid it'll affect their job, they're afraid it'll affect their college. And I say to you, and especially if you're a Christian, the most important thing is to speak the truth and to speak how you feel. And to hell and to Connacht with money. Money, of course, is good to have, but don't let it control your life. Don't let it obsess. As long as you have enough to do you, what else? What does it matter? Because I think the most important thing as a Christian, not even as a Christian, for other people too, is to speak the truth. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for your values. Stand up for what you believe in your deep in your soul. And I could tell you for a fact, I could not have took option A and shut the fuck up and said nothing. And that's to be totally honest. And it was said to me many, many times I could have succeeded high in different civil servants. But I didn't because I spoke my mind, and that was the problem. But I don't give a damn. I don't regret it for 1 second. Now, obviously, I'm leaving my workplace in March and going to try and get up higher in the civil servants and stuff. There's not a hope of that happening. But we try it anyway to annoy a few people. So that's my main goal in life nowadays, to just try and do good in the world, and I think that's the main thing. But I say to people too that evil wins when good stays quiet, and I think that's important to people. And I say that particularly to young people. Don't let people control you. Don't let people control your speech. To hell and to Connacht. We're only here on a holiday. We don't know what can happen tomorrow. We don't know what can happen next week. And this is the thing. Your reward will be in the next life and not in this life. And I say that to people. That's what I'm looking forward to. The reward in the next life. Not in this life. But hopefully in the next life I'll be given a reward for standing up for the truth. And standing up for what I believe in my soul. And being honest with myself. Not being honest with everybody else. But being honest with myself first of all. And speaking truth to power. And I think that's the main thing. And I say to people, don't ever, whatever the situation you're in, now always choose what you believe in. What you believe in deep down, your feelings, your emotions, what you believe, your values. And I think that's the main thing. And always fall back on your values. And I think that's the main thing I've learned in the last particularly few months. I think that's the main thing. When things get tough, always fall back on your values, what you value in life. But that's what I say to people. Never make a deal with the devil, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say to people. Always speak up for what you believe in. And I say to people to help to Connacht with money and stuff. As long as you have enough to do you, what else? What does it matter? But I say to people the most important thing is not to be afraid. And of course, always to speak up. It's the most important thing. And I've seen, and as I say, I see so many young people, particularly, that they've told me they're afraid of losing their job because they might speak up, or might say something, and somebody might give out, and somebody might take offence to it. To hell with it. People can argue, of course. People can disagree with you. That's democracy, of course. But I don't think people should be going out and looking to sack people, to get rid of people out of their jobs for their opinions. Unless it's something really extreme, right, fair enough. But if it's just saying, I don't agree with this, so I don't agree with that, you're fair enough, but, you don't have to go and sack the fellow or whatever. But I'm not speaking on my behalf, but I'm just speaking, I've seen that happen to people. For example, on migration, I've seen people being afraid to speak on migration, even though they say, it's a huge amount of people who've brought into the country, but they're afraid to say it because they could lose their job, or maybe they affect their college when they come out of work, etc. And particularly as somebody doing the YouTube and stuff like that, it will affect me in the whenever I look for other jobs and stuff. It will. But what about it? What about it? I stuck to my values. I stuck to my beliefs, and that's all that matters. And I truly believe that, and I don't regret it for 1 second. And that's what separates the civil servants from the boys, and in my opinion, because there's too many civil servants in the government, in different parts of the councils and stuff, that are too afraid to speak up because they're too afraid to lose their job, to lose their cushy number. And to hell and Connacht with your cushy number. What's the most important thing is to serve the people, not serve yourself, serve the people. And that's the difference between me and many civil servants. That I chose to serve the people, and I chose to speak for the people, and I chose to stand up and be counted. I didn't chose to sit in silence and say nothing, and when others were. But I think that's the main thing, and I think if there's anything to learn, never be afraid. Never be afraid. Not is to be afraid in this life. It's the next life you should be afraid. Did you do the right thing? Did you stand up for what was right? Did you stand up for your values? Did you see wrong and call it out? Because particularly as Christians, it's our duty to call it out and to call out corruption, to call out evil, to fight evil in a way too. Because good evil wins when good stays quiet, and that's the simple thing. I've learned that in life, and life is all a learning experience. Life is all just about learning the ropes, and it is you're basically here on a holiday. So what I'm trying to say is always try and do good in the world, and regardless of the monetary value, to hell with it. It's only an object. And as I say, money is the good of all evil, and never let that stand in your way of your values and what you think, because the hell into conduct with it, and that's as simple as that. And I think I've been a better person the last few months, particularly learning that, and obviously meeting Santa Mound too. And the one thing I suppose we always remember about it is stand on your values. When things get tough, do go back to your values. What you mean, what's your deep core values inside of you, your whole values of your life. And I think that's one of the most important things anybody could ever tell you. When things do get tough, always fall back on what you believe in your heart and your soul. And I say that to people. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because it is important. And I see so many young people particularly afraid to speak up because they could lose their job or might have affect their job opportunities. To hell with it. To hell with it. That's what I say. As long as you have enough to do, what does it matter? Simple as that. Because at the end of the day, we have to. If you're going to be like that, people just to say, you might as well just hide in your house or something like that, because that's the way it's going. We have to stand up to things, and that's important. Anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.